And we'll continue to admit people as they come in, and because nobody wants to really listen to my intro, even though I've got a snazzy little video queued up. Welcome everybody. About a month ago, Team 22 happened in Vegas. It was a much smaller event than previous summits teams, but it was truly wonderful to see a lot of people in person. I was fortunate enough to attend. Danny was not, but we're very lucky that Andy, who is a newish community leader, was there and has done a wonderful wrap up, which he will be presenting. So a few announcements. First of all, we're still not back in person. Damn. We are trying to think about it, trying to think, can we get back to doing some in-person events? Although I do think that we will also continue to do virtual events. So we'll have some kind of a hybrid approach in the coming year. And I'm excited to announce that we have a brand new Toronto community leader. Welcome, Saurabh. Put your hand up, Saurabh. Wave to us.
Hey, everyone. This is Saurabh. Yeah,
so Saurabh already has a lot of experience being a leader for his for the RBC internal user group leader. So now he's branching out and to be a Toronto community leader. We're really excited to have him along. We bid farewell to Kamal earlier this year, who's gone off to, concentrate on career changes, and we're going to miss him sorely. Maiken, semi-retired, still hoping to pull her back from retirement to come back and join us. We can talk. Maiken, your place at the table is still there if you want it.
Now that my mic is working, hello.
Hi.
Hey, Maiken.
It's good to see you guys. Yeah, just email me, hit me up. I just started a new job and I've just signed us up for a company user group. So yeah, I'm awesome. Back in the game.
Okay, well, there we go. So we're going to have an exciting 22 coming up, and we'll come and get some exciting events queued up, and stay tuned, everyone. And Mike, and yes, let's have a meeting. And Saurabh, Maiken, Saurabh. So, all right, so let's start with the Atlassian team wrap up. So we're just I got a quick little highlight reel that the events team at Atlassian put together that quickly shows some of the very quick things that happened during the Team 22 event last month. And then we're going to be having a recap by Andy, which I've already seen because he presented at the New York ACE, and it was so great. I asked him to present at the Toronto ACE. And then we can have a quick Q&A. Questions for people who were able to attend in person and what they thought and saw, as well as anybody who attended remotely and might have some comments or questions. Because this was one of those hybrid events where there was viewing parties around the world to watch team. You could tune in from home, or you could be there in person, as some of us were. All righty, here we go. Let's hope the sound works. This is a little cute highlight reel that I thought was really fun to show everyone. Let's go. Can you hear? Oh, thanks.
Thank you from me personally for joining us wherever you are in the world.
Welcome to Team 22.
It is just the beginning, though, of how we're helping teams work differently together.
The thing that I am looking forward to doing the most for the rest of this week is to really just be with people.
I like working remotely, but seeing everyone in person has been so wonderful and so nice.
It's great vibes.
Oh, freaking awesome.
thought that was so cute. I hope you enjoyed it. There were some good shots of Andy there with his, and not you, Andy, Fun Man Andy. Not that you're not fun, Andy, but other Fun Man Andy was featured in a lot of those ones. He wore a very colorful coat that we could actually spot him from everywhere, and was a lot of fun. But it was quite a scaled down size. For those that did get to attend, I enjoyed it because I got lots of opportunity to talk directly to product leaders and partners, where normally it's a crush of people, and you can't always sidle up to the Atlassian or to the product person that you would like to speak to and ask questions. But it will, I think they'll get back on track for next year. All right, so, oops. Wow, I wanted to play a game. I just want to welcome Andy. Andy is a community online leader, newish, and has gotten very active during the pandemic and attended his very first team last month, and I got to meet him in person, and it was really fun. And he's ready to give us his summarization, which I think is really fascinating as a first timer, and also really captures, in my mind, a lot of the highlights and then some of the little interesting bits of what happened, but I think it'll be of great interest to everyone. So take it away, Andy. I'll stop sharing.
Thanks for the intro, Susan. Let me get my slides up on screen here. Make sure I do it in the right order so you only see the slides and not all the little cheat sheets. Let's start sharing. All right, let me know. Can you see the slides? Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So thank you, Susan. It's going to be hard to follow a international sensation like the flamboyant Jira Queen, Susan Houth, but I'll try. I really appreciate the Toronto chapter inviting me to present today. During COVID, there were a few joint Toronto-New York City events planned that really helped relaunch my own participation in the community. So I certainly have an affinity for the Toronto ACE team. So thank you very much. I hope that this won't be the last time I'll be asked to present, but I guess we'll know at the end whether the decision was correct or not. Before I do begin, I do need to give credit to some fellow community leaders for the work that they already put into their recaps, which has helped me construct mine, or ours, I should say. Erica Larson of Boise, Idaho, and Jimmy Seddon, who's here today, of Guelph, Ontario. Thank you both. While I attended the keynotes in some sessions and took voracious notes during them, reading the recaps from Jimmy and Erica really helped me formulate my thoughts for the presentation. So I really appreciate you being the trailblazers before I had to go in. All right, let's go. So let's talk about the agenda real quick and start with a quick overview before jumping into the content. I intend to speak about some of the overarching themes that permeated Team 22, focus on some of the most compelling announcements that came out of the keynotes, speak about some of the interesting nuggets that came out of the breakout sessions I attended, and spoiler alert, I am a Confluence fanboy, so excuse my enthusiasm when we get there. And if we have some time at the end, speak a little bit about the Atlassian outage that coincided with Team 22 and Atlassian's response. So let's dive into it. In my assessment of the keynotes, there were three major themes that can be expressed in 5 lines. Work differently together, autonomy and alignment, cloud migrations, the numbers 25, 89, and 187, and this is not in addition of Sesame Street, although we will be sponsored by those numbers, and subtraction by addition. One of the underlying themes here that is applicable to all of the above that Susan mentioned is that we finally had a chance to get together in person, face-to-face or face-to-mask, to meet one another, sharing the wins and losses of the previous 2 years since the last summit, which is now Team, and for many, have a return to the normal that once was. By a show of emojis or hands in the crowd, how many people attended in person? I know Susan was there, I know Jimmy was there, Fabian. So seems like it's still a minority of the attendees were there in person. Did you participate in the digital experience? Raise your hands. Okay. And or have you taken the hybrid approach that I have and attended in person but reviewed the digital materials afterwards? Whether you fall into one, 2, or none of the buckets, it's great to continue the conversation here. So let's get into it. The first theme that was repeated throughout the keynotes is work differently together. Scott opened the sessions with Peter Drucker's quote, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." He highlighted Atlassian's pivot from office-based work to a distributed workforce, requiring them to rethink the way we work and create Team Anywhere, an initiative to hire the right people anywhere that Atlassian was licensed to do business, but that brought about challenges on how to preserve the innovation and autonomy needed to allow the team and individuals to contribute at high level and in an aligned manner. In Scott's words, humankind everywhere is grappling with change. Culture becomes the single differentiator in how companies will succeed or how spectacularly they will fail. Many companies snuff the joy out of work. Scott continued, companies need to find the right balance between autonomy and alignment. Teams need a shared understanding of the what, why, who, and how of their work. This is hard for most organizations, he said. If you're scaling fast, if you're digitally transforming, this can be especially frustrating to get. So autonomy and alignment, work differently together. Those are the underlying themes that brought them to the products and services that they really focused on during the keynotes. Excuse me for that. Support of the first two themes are a data set related to application sprawl and how Atlassian is addressing it. Atlassian contracted with Forrester on a study of SaaS application enterprises, and numbers 25, 89, and 187 emerged. How many SaaS apps do you think your organization has? Anybody willing to take a guess or no? Want to take yourself off mute and say the number?
We're just doing that. We just merged with another company. So we're actually, these numbers were very interesting to me personally as we're assessing it. And so far we're up to like, I think 200 or 300, and we're only like 1,000 employees. But when you're merging a bunch of companies and you've got these tools all over the place, it's crazy.
So I know myself, I'm the chief operating officer of my company. So I'm not as involved in necessarily procuring the apps. I'm certainly a decision maker in terms of what we do utilize internally versus externally. I know I approve over a dozen invoices every month for apps that sit in my part of the organization. And that's just me. And as the COO who's not in the weeds and involved in every single project that's happening or every single app that the users decide that they're going to download or use, it's going to become a paid subscription for us. So I can only imagine how, and we're a 145 person organization, I should say. So we fall into the small organizations bucket. And if I'm approving 12 to 20 of them, there's way more than 89 in our organization as well. One day we'll do an audit and find out what the true numbers are. Those, by the way, include Atlassian tools like, all the Atlassian tools, whether it be Jira, Confluence, our entire Atlassian billing, plus Trello, which for some reason Atlassian still has not figured out how to bill within the same framework as everything else, which boggles my mind. And it's something that I believe that until you see these numbers or you hear them, it's really not something we give a lot of thought to. So there's a ton of sprawl and a lot of excess spend that happens as well. So let's go into now that we've spoken about the themes, let's check out the big announcements from the keynotes. Coming out of the themes of working differently together and autonomy and alignment is Atlassian's newest product, Atlas. Atlas is a rebrand and beta launch of the former Team Central and a graduate of the Point A program. Atlas is a centralized directory for the organization, providing insight into projects and teams that are working cross-functionally on them, bringing people, projects, goals, and communications into a single pane of glass. It answers the key questions for distributed workforces. What is being worked on? Why is it being worked on? Who is on the team that's working on it? And finally, how is the work getting done? Atlas is the where to the who, what, why, and how questions. And since goals and reporting are built in, it also answers the when. In fact, Atlas is designed with fuzzy dates, which Job spoke about, to allow flexibility as projects progress along their timeline. Just as a GPS makes micro adjustments to an ETA based on driver behavior, roadblocks and obstacles, and shortcuts that become available, Atlas will allow projects to hone in on their ETA to completion based on the milestones reached on project as the project completion closes in. We all plan annually, quarterly, weekly. Development teams use sprints and points to manage their work, but until the work starts getting done, the ETA is a guesstimate. Atlas allows that ETA to become a more accurate estimate as work progresses, taking more of the guesswork out of the managing projects, deliverables, and timetables. Now, when Joff introduced the Atlas, and Joff Redford, by the way, the Chief Product Officer at Atlassian, he mentioned seeing a sign in the airport, one app to rule them all, and said that while this is a myth, better apps can decrease the total footprint of apps in an organization, and that is what Atlas is designed to do. As a side point, the ad Joff mentioned was from Atlassian competitor ClickUp, and within 24 hours, they had a mock mashup video of Joff speaking and mentioning their tagline with images of their ads in public spaces, airports, train stations posted on their social media channels. It was hysterical and a very good twist in marketing. And I'm positive not exactly what Joff intended when quoting the ad. I believe that it's no longer, I searched for it last week. I couldn't find it. There's one post on LinkedIn that still has it, I believe. So they obviously had taken it down after their smash marketing was completed. So what does Atlas provide to the organization? Each product has a dedicated homepage. Status updates are Twitter-style 200-character limits, at least for now. We'll see what Elon Musk does when he eventually does take over Twitter or doesn't take over Twitter, whether that number will go up or down. Updates can include images, video, and emojis. Teams can be formed and tracked based on projects they're working on. Team members can be associated with multiple projects and tracked against the individual project as well as personal productivity metrics. So that's a big deal. Teams themselves have profiles just like individuals, so those expectations can be mapped to the team and then from the team to the individuals. In the past, it's been very difficult within Atlassian products to take an individual and make them part of multiple teams, see what their capacity is. Hopefully, the way that it is implemented here will allow us to see those metrics individually and then as part of the team as well. Atlas also introduces topics. Topics is a feature that pulls projects and goals together for high-level visibility throughout the organization. So sort of that macro level view of what's going on that you can click down and dive in deeper to see what's actually happening in the entire organization. Atlas is free for all Atlassian orgs and can be installed from the page accessible through the QR code link. And I forgot to mention, I put QR code links on most of the pages to either articles that I reference on the page or to the homepage for that product. So feel free to scan them and save them. The second new product that is now coming out of these themes is Compass. Compass puts control of the sprawl and architecture back in the hands of the admins, providing insight, metadata, and reporting to software teams and their platforms and software development tools. It provides rich real-time activity updates from components and all of their dependencies with data pulled in from across all the tools in your software development toolchain, not just Atlassian products and services. Compass answers the key questions about the components and services that software teams build and maintain. What do we own? Where is it hosted? Who's using it? Why do we need it? And how is it being used? Compass is fully extensible with Forge, and it becomes a foundation for end-to-end management of all the endpoints in the development workbench. By the way, this is not meant to be just a monologue. If you have any questions, you could ask. I will not know the answers most likely, but someone else on the call may know them. So please, if I'm putting anybody to sleep, you could feel free to raise your hand. Or just take yourself off of mute because I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the chats or the hands. Compass is currently in alpha as part of the Point A framework. It's designed as a platform to articulate software architecture, defining ownership of macro and microsystem architecture. This is like AutoCAD for your software environment. Links together all Atlassian project management products into a single pane of glass. People, metadata, scorecards, gives you all of that at a fingertip. Atlas will communicate what is happening. Compass will guide you to who owns it. So they're complementary products for sure. And a lot of these taglines at the bottom of the slides as well are, basically the way that Atlassian succinctly put the different products. So increase morale, decrease spend. So this one really requires a deep dive, but I'm not wearing my scuba gear today, so I'll have to be brief and a call to action to scan the QR code and read that Atlassian Work Life blog that really covers this new product and service better than I can. Atlassian Analytics and Data Lake And I happen to know, I believe that for the community leaders, we have a call out there scheduled to give us a little bit more information. So unfortunately, this took place before that, although sometimes on those calls we can't necessarily talk about what we're on those calls until it's public release, but looking forward to understanding more about analytics and data lake. In essence, this is something that has been desperately needed for a long time. A centralized database that is queryable across all Atlassian products. Atlassian talks about taking the silos away, but the data that lives in Atlassian products is definitely siloed right now. The shift from site-based to remote work accelerated development of the idea and product, as team health suffered without the insights that used to exist when teams were working under a single roof. Could quickly walk over to somebody, see what they're working on, understand what's going on. What reports and data were shared in a different way. Now that we're not all together, we have to find a way to get that data into a single space that everyone can access. Analytics will query the unified data lake and provide insights through out-of-the-box interactive dashboards, SQL visualization, customizable dashboards and charts fed by the data lake, no-code visualization, fast report builds in GUI point and click editors. Let me take a drink. The current data lake residents are Jira software and Jira service management. Coming soon is support of standard BI tools such as Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. And coming soon as well are data streams from external tools that are on the roadmap. So it won't just be taking your Atlassian data, but being able to pull in information from your CRM or your ERP and marrying that information with the data that you have from Jira to understand how your projects are actually affecting the entire organization and not just the teams that are utilizing these tools. I love this guide to Jira by Jexo. Atlassian has admitted that they need to do a better job of differentiating the Jira products to users in the marketplace, but for our Jira journey, I just felt that this would really be a good summary. I believe I saw this on LinkedIn from them, and I have it saved as a JPEG on my desktop. So if anybody wants it or needs it, just let me know, and I'll shoot it over to you via email. Some of the mentions that Jira received in the keynotes, I'd like to focus on a few of the bullet points above. So Jira software toolchain. This feature will provide visibility into the tools deployed on any project, identify gaps present that may affect the success of the project. This will support DevOps in easily identifying areas for improvement for a release. Will take much of the guesswork out of their roles. I know that when I spoke about this internally in our company, our DevOps team was extremely excited to see how this would work in practice. Jira Work Management. So first of all, it's free if you already have a Jira software license. So why not install it and play with it? It's built on the same Jira platform with the Atlassian shared editor experience. It can change the way that non-technical teams work, and is worth an install to start seeing how it can affect your organization and your organization can benefit from it. So I guess the call to action from this slide is, if you own Jira software, install Jira Work Management and start playing with it and seeing how it can change your life. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't plug fellow Atlassian community leader John Funk's recently published book on Jira Work Management, aptly titled Jira Work Management for Business Teams, Accelerate Digital Transformation and Modernize Your Organization with Jira Work Management. It's a great resource for anyone that has even beginner knowledge of the Jira platform to get started in Jira Work Management. And as long as Jira Work Management is free, the investment in the book will be your cheapest and most thorough training. It's available on Amazon. Look for it there. John Funk is the author. I've read it, not cover to cover, but beginning of PDF to end of PDF, and can tell you it's phenomenal. Then looking at Jira Service Management. The risk assessment engine and change management rules and alerts allow admins, DevOps, and SecOps to deploy with confidence. The risk assessment engine allows them to determine whether a change is low risk and can be auto-approved and deployed, or high risk and requires further approvals. It'll assess dependencies and the potential impact of the change with insight and the service registry. The change management rules and calendar will look at other work ongoing at the same time of a release to see if the scheduled release or any instance of services may interfere with that release, and provide visibility to the team about release cycles, allowing everyone to work better together. So I think these are, from a Jira standpoint, and I know Susan Houth, who is the Jira queen, and Jimmy, who I gotten to know well, also someone who lives in Jira. I think these are going to be changes that will redefine the way that we work within Jira, and hopefully give more tools to the teams and strip a little bit of that admin management layer away that we often have to do to provide the insights that really should be available through the services and through the platform itself. So I'm looking forward to installing these as well. Of course, there are also courses available on Atlassian University that are great resources as well for all Jira products. And you should check out university.atlassian.com for the latest courses. Since Team 21, there has been a concerted effort made to update almost all the content on University. And if you have not visited recently, I recommend you schedule some time to dive in. And I do believe that that shot of Jimmy in the highlight video was him actually participating in a university event that was taking place. The university team did a fantastic job at Team 22, really getting the word out and on the courses that are available, on the different curriculum that you can go through for certification. So definitely recommend giving it a visit.
That was I love that one. That clip that was in the opening there, that was Jimmy playing Jeopardy. What do they call that? Atlassian Jeopardy.
Right.
Yeah.
University Jeopardy. Right.
University Jeopardy, and he did quite well. And I was in the next session. I did not do as well. I have that. I lost in Jeopardy, but it was super fun.
Here's Jimmy showing us his medal. So we have an Olympian in our midst.
I have a medal somewhere too. It's just not gold.
It's not for curling. It's for Jeopardy.
Right.
Let Jimmy have his moment, Susan. Come on, let him have it.
He was really good.
All right. So on to Confluence. So I need to say this. I love Confluence. I'm a fanboy. I've been on server and cloud. It changed my life. I was on server in a previous company. I'm on cloud in my current company. I'm also a Star Wars nerd. And the QR code here is one of my expressions of that intersection of the two loves of my life that I have published on the community. So if you want to ever give it a read, go ahead. This is not fishing for likes. You could read it without liking it. It's okay. But I love Confluence, and Confluence knows it. So let's talk a lot about Confluence. So many amazing updates on the cloud. So new to Confluence, charts from table data that's going to be an amazing change. Instead of just having tables that sit in Confluence that you have to scroll through and try and make out the numbers and know what the trends are and go in and manually change the background colors of the cells that you want to highlight, you'll be able to convert table data straight into charts in Confluence. So take a table from Excel. What are we doing now? We're either copying a table from Excel and pasting it into Confluence, and there'll be a table in Confluence, or we're actually taking, in order to get a chart in there, if you don't have a third-party app installed, you are just taking a screenshot of that chart in Excel and pasting it into Confluence. Static data, not dynamic, not ever going to update. You have to go back every time you change the underlying data to update it. This will be live data that will dynamically display the information that you're looking at. So charts from table data, amazing, coming new to Confluence, looking forward to it. Automation, which is currently in EAP. I happen to be part of that EAP right now. I haven't had a lot of experience utilizing it yet, but I've been paying attention to the conversations going on in the EAP portion of the community. It has a potential of being a game changer as well. Being able to finally put parameters in the Confluence pages that will create automations for actions and activities that are taking place that are part of the content on that page. Again, that's something that's in early testing now, but hopefully is going to go mainstream very soon. The new home experience, there's been a love-hate relationship with this one. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. I happen to be one of the people that likes it. It shows me what I want to see. It's a lot nicer and cleaner than the old home experience. I respect those who don't like it. Everyone has an opinion, as we all have with Atlassian products. It's really a love, 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 hate a little bit, love, love, love more experience working with the Atlassian products. But the new home experience, which is rolled out, I believe at this point, most instances are on that new home experience. Again, is another update that happened around the same time as Team. Personal spaces for all. This is a little bit of an older update that they did speak about at Team 22. Now, by default, whenever you add a user to your Confluence instance, they will get a personal space. Some people love it, some people hate it. Administrators that don't want to deal with a lot of sprawl don't really like it. Personally, as an administrator myself, I like it because I want people to be able to work and to create in their own environment where they don't feel everyone else is watching them and looking at them and they feel judged. Not everybody that works within Confluence is a UI or UX person. And we want to encourage people to participate and to collaborate. And if they have a space where they feel that it's a safe space, this is my opinion, obviously not shared by all. My opinion is that's great. And that allows them to take the pages that they're publishing in the personal space and then move them to the proper spaces when they've reviewed them or reviewed them with the manager or someone that they want us to give them the insights that they need for them. This is really part of an underlying theme, which, give me a second, I should have had this written down before, that is called, where is it? I apologize for this. Fearless creation. So the Confluence team, as Susan said, the product managers, the product people were uber available for us. It was phenomenal to just like go over to Confluence or Jira Align or to Point A and like just be able to talk to the product managers, product owners themselves that are developing these products for us and our users and have a conversation with them. And one of the conversations that I had was that they really have this new concept that they're really focusing on, which is called fearless creation, which leads to allowing people to create without the fear, right? So I think one of the things I know, certainly from our side, from my organization, people hesitate to contribute because they're afraid either their contributions have no value or that they're just not, they look at some pages that people with great eye for design did, and they're like, oh, I can't do that, so I'm not going to contribute. But they have the knowledge and the information that we want to live in Confluence, they're just not letting it get there. So this gives them a path to that that's of the least resistance. So personal space for all, big win from my perspective. Embedded video player, again, a game changer. Context switching within Confluence or any product is something that really leads to a ton of wasted time. Having to play videos that are embedded outside of Confluence. Susan showed us how you can embed a video in a Zoom meeting inside of a PowerPoint and show it on a Zoom meeting, and she didn't have to click out of anything else. And we all stayed attentive to that 2-minute clip that she showed us. We want to do that. We want to keep people in Confluence. Having an embedded video player where YouTube videos will be able to play within in Confluence is a big game changer. Presenter mode, which is being rolled out now, phenomenal. I mean, my instance doesn't have it yet, so I'm like dying to get this. I cannot wait till the day when I don't have to do this presentation via PowerPoint. Most of what we do, or at least what I do, lives in Confluence on a regular basis. Why not be able to just present it from there as opposed to having to move it to slides or any Google Slides or to PowerPoint? I happen to be using PowerPoint because I just know how to navigate it better than Google Slides. But I can't wait to be able to use presenter mode on a regular basis. Our leadership team has a 90-minute meeting every week that has the same agenda. We happen to use the EOS system, if you've ever heard of it in our organization. So our scorecard, everything, the agenda is all there every week. And I'm constantly just sitting there and like just sharing the page, but in edit mode or somewhere else without being able to literally just host the entire conversation via presenter mode. And I'm looking forward to that. Emojis and reactions. So you see the factoid on the side there, that 10 to 12% engagement. Higher X engagement when pages have humanity in them, emojis and images. So the ability to be able to put emojis in titles of pages, having reactions to pages, likes and such, more than just the thumbs up is coming. And then direct integration with Microsoft Teams, which is something that they announced quite a while ago, but then reviewed again at Team 22. I happen to not be a Teams user. I mean, we utilize Teams when necessary, when meeting with someone else who uses Teams. So to me, that's not such a big deal. I'd love to see some sort of integration into Zoom or another platform. But having direct integration with Teams certainly gives them the credibility of being able to integrate with enterprise level software. Quick thing on improvements, 53% improvement in page loads on cloud. I went to a breakout session where they spoke about what they've done to speed that up, they measure FMP, first meaningful paint of the page. They've taken a lot of feedback as to what people want to see when a page loads first, right? When you're loading a page, you're either going in there, potentially, what's the first thing you may want to do? Edit. So edit should be available first. Links, so they've sped up page loads by improving that which they initially present to the user as the page is loading. Loading tools before the text, retooling the current size of code as well, which is a longer term project that the Atlassian team is going through. And then the factoids on the side there mentioned 10-12% engagement, 40% increase in page creation since 2020, which is amazing. Obviously, as we've gone remote, more people have realized that, hey, we have silos of information, or what in our company we call tribal knowledge, that needs to be documented so others can benefit from it. You can no longer just walk over to somebody and ask them the question. You need to be able to find it on your own. So it's great to see that this platform has increased as a result. And then I found this really interesting, top 3 most used templates. Number 1 is blog posts. I spoke with the team at the booth and asked them about that. And they said because so many employees have been hired remotely during the pandemic, a lot of people are utilizing blog posts, which is interesting because you could also in the space have a blog, but they're utilizing blog post templates to introduce themselves to their teams. How do you get to know somebody? How do you get to know what, where they live, what their family's like, everything about them without, having a place for it to live. So blog post is number 1. Number 2, following that, 90-day plans, hiring all these new people. Everyone's got to have a 90-day plan. How we're going to onboard them, what does success look like? And number 3, meeting notes, which when they asked me, I guess that was number 1. And I didn't even have a blog post on my radar whatsoever. And then currently 127 templates with more to come. So a lot going on in Confluence. From what I heard from Dilip Bhatt, who is the ACE leader in New York, who's also a big Confluence fanboy, he doesn't remember Confluence getting so much love at a summit or team in the past. So definitely a lot of reinvestment going on there and realizing the power of it. So if you're not on Confluence, I'm sorry for you. Your life is just not as fulfilling as mine is. Breakout sessions. So there was a full menu of breakout sessions and demos at Team 22. Any review of them would not do any justice to it. However, because cloud migrations was a big focus, I'll highlight some of them on the next slides before I show you how to access the rest. So the common theme for migrations related content was assess and build your case for migration, get in front of it while it's a luxury and not a necessity. And if you're on server, it is coming. There is a definitive date for when end of life or end of support life for server products will be. They're no longer developing for server. So you already see they're not getting any new features in server, and you're going to have to move to cloud. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worthwhile because cloud is certainly getting a lot of the love now, and the feature set that's available in cloud today is light years ahead of what it was maybe when you looked at it initially. Define what success looks like when undertaking any project. That's a smart idea, but certainly here where you're migrating really, really critical data to your company, and engage a variety of users early and often. Don't do the work in a vacuum. I can tell you I've been guilty of this myself in other projects. People think that they know the best way to design is for the organization, but they never take the users into account. Make sure you meet with your users, talk to them, understand how they're using the product so you could design for the use case and not just design for what you think is the right way. Emphasize the value in cloud for business and end users. And you have to educate. People have to know about it. Many organizations, my organization, we're a financial services organization, we're fintech. We deal with a lot of sensitive data. Having it in the cloud presented some issues. We had to make sure that, look at the feature sets that Confluence Cloud has, understand them, and make sure that if you're not the decision maker, you can elaborate them to the decision maker and get the sign off that you need. Assess your apps. You're not just migrating core product, you're migrating everything. This is a big theme. A lot of the actual app presenters were talking about this. Make sure that the app, the way you use it on server, is going to be the app that is used on cloud, and work potentially with the app provider to understand how the data from that app gets moved over. Don't just think you're going to migrate Confluence, turn it on, and all the apps that you previously had installed on server are going to work in cloud. Hire a partner. If you value your data, the cost is justified. I can tell you myself, again, having worked through some major CRM migrations in my time, if you hire the right person, it'll be done right. If you try and do it in-house, because it's simple, unless you have a very, very small instance that you don't mind losing all the data from, hire a partner. Then finally, the main theme was test, 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 and then test again. You have to constantly be testing. You can't just get to the end and then do one final test and think everything works. You have to test each step of the way. But the process of migration to make sure that you actually have a complete migration of all the data and that it works in the way that you envision it should. And realize that migration is not the end, it's a new beginning. And just being able, you get server people, you're gonna have to have cloud people that understand cloud. Moving from server to cloud is going to be a potential for a lot of people to learn new things, a lot of people to develop new skill sets that make them more marketable within the organization and outside the organization. So use it as an opportunity to elevate those in your organization that are working on it. And use the resources, Cloud Migration Toolkits, which is the link in this QR code. Atlassian University is already beginning to publish a lot of content around migrations, and obviously partner webinars. Team 22 event site is live with on-demand content and recorded content that was presented live at Team 22 in Vegas. The content can be searched and consumed by track, product, and the area of interest. There's also a YouTube playlist with the sessions as well. I think on this screenshot, which I took a month ago, was 101 videos. I can't tell you if that playlist is still 101 videos, if they've taken some off, if they've added any. But in true Atlassian fashion, I can't tell you whether all the content is from one platform exists on the other and vice versa. I've actually asked some of the community leader team to let us know what exists where, so we could find it, because it shouldn't be a scavenger hunt when you're looking for information about their products and services. Like, if you want to learn about it, they should make it accessible. If it's something that was said at a session that they couldn't, edit out, and they don't want it out there, so they don't put it out there. But don't hide it from us and make us try and figure out, oh yeah, I saw that video. When it's on YouTube, the title was one thing, but on the team side, it's a different thing, and I don't know which one is which. So good luck with navigating that. If I get an update on my question, I'll let Susan know so she can let the rest of the Toronto chapter know where the authoritative site is. All right, so this brings us to the incidents. We've really heard about this ad nauseum until now, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but just a couple things. 833 clients out of 200,000 were impacted. That's over 99.5% were unaffected. It was high impact to those customers, but it was low footprint overall. There was lots of noise in the community online, but the amazing fact is that this started as most attendees and Atlassian employees were traveling to Las Vegas. Some people were coming from Australia, people were coming from West Coast, East Coast, from all over the world. And in no way did it affect the conference. Atlassian played a masterclass in keeping cool under fire when in front of 3,500 people that would have picked up on it immediately if they had. The QR code here is to the latest post by the CTO. It's a pretty detailed post. It starts out with an introduction from Mike and Scott about what actually happened, and then much deeper dive into the entire internal Atlassian infrastructure so people can understand it better. I'll be honest, I've read about 80% of it. I haven't read 100% of it yet. I just haven't had the time to dedicate to it. It's pretty fascinating how transparent they are in the aftermath, and admitted that the lack of transparency was what caused so much of the angst and the tweets and the updates or lack thereof that occurred throughout the incident. But we hopefully we learn from our mistakes and we grow, and hopefully Atlassian learns from this mistake as well and continues to grow. Roadmaps. So we've spoken about migrations. So I just felt that this is a good slide, give you some QR codes to be able to see what's going on with cloud and data center. And then a post that came out of the, I would say, the backlash from the community about the lack of coverage for data center at Team. Like I said before, heavy emphasis on cloud and migrations. Also kept reminding people that servers going out, but what's happening with data center? So I think that this post is very telling about what the future of data center is. And so I've linked it there. It's by Gosha Kowalska, the head of product for data center. she felt compelled to write that article on the community post after Team 22. It really created a firestorm in the comment section, I'll say. Rodney Nielsen, the Jira guy's comment alone is a standalone post unto itself. Like, his comment is larger than the entire post. Certainly a good read. The content of the article in the comment section is very informative and helpful when making investment decisions for future products, and it's a highly recommended read. If nothing else, then if you're not on data center, just to understand what it's like when you have a product that is the focal point of a organization and they forget about other people. Like, just to see that covered is interesting in itself. I'm not a data center user. I've never been a data center user. I'm certainly interested in knowing what the future of data center is, because that just, for me as a consumer, dictates what the future of allocation of resources is. So definitely a great read. And then finally, as Susan mentioned, if you're on this call and you weren't able to make it this year, like, I would love for you to be able to make it next year, but anybody else should stay home because it was a fantastic experience not having the crowds. So we look forward towards Team 23, which returns to the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas for another year. As Susan and I were discussing with some of those that were on earlier, community leaders were treated to a nugget by Robert Cervani, the CMO at Atlassian. There's a strong possibility that team event will be hosted in the MSG Sphere in Las Vegas that is currently under construction, which will be a completely new experience for team and attendees, but that's most likely based on construction schedules going to happen in 24. So get there for 23 for the last one, the Venetian. They did a phenomenal job. I felt the Venetian is a beautiful hotel. It's just you could go there and live there and be there the whole time. And with that, I thank you for listening to my gravelly voice, and for longer than anyone should have to be subject to that torture. And I'll hand it back to Susan.
Wow, that was great.
And I see there's a lot in the chat. Holy cow, 23 posts. All right, I'm gonna have to catch up while Susan talks.
A lot of it was, yeah, I was thinking about it, Sandra, but because she had to leave, which is too bad. But yeah, Jimmy, apparently they are, it looks like it will be Venetian next year and then MGM Sphere in Vegas, which is surprising to me that they're staying in Vegas as long as they are. They'd always talked about going back to the San Francisco, to the newer convention center that they're building there. I can't remember what the name is. But regardless of that, we have Andy here open for questions, and myself who attended, and anyone else who attended who would like to have any questions asked to us. I know that, Mel, you were wondering where the data center comments were, and there you go. Andy and Martin both posted on the future of Atlassian Data Center articles that you can read there. We will put a copy of this slide deck in our wrap up, right, Andy? You don't have a problem with sharing the deck?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll be able to, everyone will be able to go in. I want those numbers. I have a presentation tomorrow with our CTO on why we need to move to cloud. And, you know, I've already filled a PowerPoint, you know, session, but even here I was scribbling going, I got to get that slide, I got to get that slide to explain to the CTO why we must get to cloud now. So.
I was wondering what the sentiment was around, and I haven't read the article you mentioned, but so thank you for that. But in person, did you get a sense of what people were feeling, not just from sort of how well does the data center instance run, which of course has been the engineering push, but really from a feature standpoint? Because I feel that a lot of people opted for Atlassian just because they have always been so innovative from a, you know, we are going into this new territory. But if you have to leave your home to go to that territory, be out on cloud, that's a barrier for a lot of organizations. So I was wondering what sort of feedback they were getting at Summit.
Well, I think that they talked a lot about how they're making so many strides in their security and trying to address the concerns of the larger companies, the companies that have restrictions about going to cloud, they're working very, very hard to overcome any of those restrictions, such as the data residency. They're looking at HIPAA standards. They're looking at, obviously, GDPR. So, and a bunch of other very American standards that I'm not familiar with. But definitely there were talks about that and about that push to it. There wasn't like a full feeling, though, that there's an abandonment of data server at this point by any means.
No, and I don't think that they plan to not support what's already there. I think there will be good support for what's already there. Right? It's just whether there will be more there, and even things that you'd expect to be reasonably easy to get parity on. For example, automation for Jira. There are some staring gaps, and you think to yourself, well, these are clearly the same technology. So why has there been this gap? I would actually think that of all the things that they would support on data center, it would be encouraging people to use automation so that when they get to cloud, their automations just work. But I think that there's just a feature of misparity, which CodeBarrel, when they owned it themselves, that wasn't the case. They would do a release every 2 weeks. Now it's once a quarter, and you'd be lucky if they've addressed bugs, let alone added features. So, like calling a REST API and getting a 400-star response will still crash the automation, right? Whereas they fixed it in cloud. Things like lookup issues, new feature in cloud, this is just an existing data center. So I find that puzzling, even if they, otherwise just want to motivate people to move to cloud. I think that would help.
Well, I think they're going to go there. They're just not saying that yet. And having suffered very badly from a bad server upgrade and seeing that, I feel that I got the B team on the servers supporting us versus the A team on the cloud. Jimmy, please talk. Tell us what your thoughts are. You don't need to put that in chat. Jimmy was well tuned in there.
Oh, it was easier for me to do that while other people are talking, though. Yeah, I mean, if you read through the future data center post and you read the things that they are focusing on right now, everything is all about performance, scalability, and stability, which to me, that's maintenance stuff. That is not building out new features. That's not expanding what's there, trying to bring parity from cloud. That is making it continue to run until they have whatever roadblocks are preventing people from moving from data center into cloud available so that they can, more easily push that migrate to cloud story. That's just my unfiltered thoughts about it. That's what I was sort of understanding from where they're at, is that this is just a holding pattern. As much as Atlassian has come out and said data center's not going anywhere, and that is all over the place with a lot of people, behind the scenes disagreeing with them on that. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in data center past 10 years. That's my personal opinion on it.
Not going anywhere just means it's not going anywhere. Okay, it's not going backwards. It's not going forwards. Right?
But and if you remember back to like there were 4 years ago, people would say, "Are you still going to continue to support server?" Oh yeah, we're going to support server until they weren't. So and then it's like, and when they say they're not supporting server, if anyone's still on server like me, it's awful. Like really bad right now. Like I thought that at least we get new features sort of up until the cutoff date of 2024. No, but features are stopped. Yeah, stopped.
You can't patch it because no one can release something for it.
Well, no, we do get patches, and we've definitely gotten patches.
Sorry, I said patch, but I mean like you can't like do a functional bridge using an app because you can't buy something in Marketplace for server.
You can buy Marketplace apps right now, but you can't increase your licensing at all, which put us in a real weird bind with our merged companies, with a real scramble at the beginning of February when they announced that, because we had to figure out, would we add our more users into our server, as we weren't ready to migrate to cloud, and we just merged. It was a real scramble, I can tell you. But you can still buy a plugin.
Right.
But yeah. So it's yeah, it's a weird space right now, I have to say. So we're coming at just past the hour. Do we have any more questions before we say farewell? Andy, huge thank you for sharing your presentation, and I know you share your deck with all your really great information and QR codes to go do some more self-research. I think that's really handy. Welcome, Saurabh. Welcome back, Maiken, I hope. And we're just going to let you know that our next event is going to be a very exciting event. It's going to be June 29th. It's going to be a virtual event, but all of the Canadian ACEs are going to join together to give you one massive Canadian experience with some Canadian speakers, Jimmy being one of them. And yes, you're still speaking, Jimmy. He's trying to get out of it. So looking forward to that and to your questions that I saw in the Slack. We are trying to figure out when and if we can get back in person. We miss all of you in person too. So stay tuned. We're trying to figure it out if it's possible and when it's possible. I do believe we will get together at some point. Any comment? We lost Danny. Danny had to go. Oh no, you're still there, Danny.
No,
right.
I turned video off because I'm staggering, so I was trying to keep the audio going.
No. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much, and look forward to you June 29th. Please keep that in your calendar. It's going to be a super fun Canadian event, virtual, and we will continue to keep this ACE going and hopefully in person. And huge thanks to Andy, and we will be sending the wrap up for those that want to watch again or enjoy the slides. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody,
Bye-bye.
have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Andy.